Thanks to the thousands of hair donations the Little Princess Trust has received, we've been able to build up our very own large stock of wigs, exclusively for the children and young people who we help. We're really excited to be able to show you the results of these kind donations. A single donated hair wig can contain up to 10 different donations. They're carefully selected and blended to produce an even, natural-looking colour. The hair donations are sent to a specialist factory where they're hand knotted into one of these bases. This can take up to 60 hours to complete. The hair is used without being coloured or treated, so the wig is of the highest quality possible. They really are fantastic. We hold the stock here at our offices and send them as required to the wig fitters. The wigs come in a wide range of sizes, lengths and colours, so there's a really great choice available. These are just some of our completed wigs, which have yet to be cut and styled to the individual child or young person's needs. Not only are these donated hair wigs such fantastic quality, but it is amazing to think that they are made entirely from the kindness of our donors.
Hi Bradley.
Hi Jane, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. That was a great opening to this evening's show, and welcome everybody to Aderans UK Live. Thank you for joining myself and Bradley this evening, and we've got two very special people joining us, Wendy and Phil from the Little Princess Trust. A lot of you may know the Little Princess Trust, you may have worked with them, you may have actually had a wig from them in the past. They've been a charity that has now been around for the last 15 years. The charity was established in 2006 by Hannah Topley's friends, her parents and Hereford Cathedral School. Hannah was the daughter of Wendy and Simon, who unfortunately actually was diagnosed with a Wilms tumour but actually passed away in 2005. Because of that, Wendy felt very, very strongly that she wanted to give something back. A lot of people gave them a lot of financial help and a lot of support during that time, but finding a wig that was suitable for Hannah proved to be really quite difficult 15, 16 years ago. At that point in time, we actually met Wendy and helped her on that journey. And when the Little Princess Trust started, we were in touch with Wendy and we actually started to actually help them along their way with their hair donations and introductions to people in the actual industry. So in 2006, the Little Princess Trust was actually founded and actually started. Since then, the Little Princess Trust has actually gone on to help thousands and thousands of people up to the age of 24. This is people who may be losing their hair through cancer. It could be because they've actually got some form of alopecia as well. And the Little Princess Trust is there to actually support and help all of these people, whether it's little girls or whether it's boys as well. So any young person up to the age of 24. The Trust gives and provides at least 2,000 wigs a year to young children who need a wig for treatment or going through alopecia. So it's a really, really generous charity, and it's a charity that most people know and love now. And they're really dependent on a lot of fundraising that you're able to actually do for them, as well as all of your hair donations. In addition to this, the charity also became one of the largest charity funders of childhood cancer research in the UK, funding vital research which will lead to kinder and more positive and effective treatments of all different kinds of childhood cancers. So Little Princess Trust provide real hair wigs free of charge to these young people from the age of 24 and below. And they also give grants, and they've given grants out totaling more than £7 million to different research projects that are focused on finding effective treatments for childhood cancers. So as you can tell just by this very short, small introduction, it's such a fantastic charity. It's really close to our hearts here at Aderans. We support the charity and we've been supporting them since the start in 2006. I remember meeting Wendy at the very beginning when she was getting overwhelmed at home with all the different donations she was getting of hair, and she had a garage packed full of boxes of hair donations and really didn't know which way to turn. She knew of Trendco, so she actually came to us, gave us a call, and we took those donations from her. And I remember in the very early days in my lunch break sorting through the actual hair. Then I got my daughter involved, my niece was involved, and the charity grew and grew. Now the charity is actually based in Herefordshire, and they're in the process of moving from one office to really new, sparkly new offices in August, which they're all very excited about. And they have a really strong team of people working with them as well. They were also really excited in 2012 to actually receive the Queen's Award for Voluntary Services, which is an amazing achievement for a charity that was actually started just in somebody's home. And Bradley, do we have Wendy and Phil with us now? Are they around, and are we on all of our different platforms this evening? And I've lost Bradley. I can't actually hear him at all. Let me just send him a message because I can't hear him speaking at all. So I'm not sure what's actually happened. If you can just bear with me one moment and we'll see what's actually happening with Bradley's sound. I know he had a small problem with cameras issues, but
You got me now?
we got you back, Bradley.
You've got me back. Gosh, I have not got a clue what happened there. In all the weeks that we've done this, my camera has never been the one to freeze and go off. But I had to take it off air there because it froze in a very unflattering picture, I must say, before it went off.
That's why you actually took yourself off.
I had to take myself away from that situation. That was not good. But I'm back now, everyone. We're all good. And I'm very excited about tonight. I must say that the Little Princess Trust is a charity that a lot of my friends have actually donated their own hair to. And so it's quite a nice thing because it means that they can actually send the hair in to me when they've cut their hair and then I send it on. So it feels like it's quite a personal thing. And obviously we work with them year round, so it's a really exciting thing for us to have them with us tonight. So yeah, should we bring them in?
Yeah, if they're all ready for us, that'd be lovely, and we can introduce them to everybody.
Absolutely. So here we go.
Thank you. Hi guys, hi Wendy and Phil. Lovely to have you with us this evening. Hello. Hope you're both well. Beautiful to have you, and thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy week. I know how busy both you people actually are. For us, it's a real pleasure to actually have you with us this evening so we can talk to you and find out a lot more about your charity. And also for our viewers who are actually watching across Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, for them to actually find out more about what you do, what your inspirations were behind the charity and how it's actually moving forward as well, because I know we've got some quite exciting things that we're going to actually cover this evening. Firstly, I just want to actually start off, Wendy, and starting off with yourself, just because I gave a very small brief introduction to how the charity started, and I know this is really very close to your heart, obviously because of your daughter Hannah. But if you can tell us your inspiration and how you went about really starting this charity. And nowadays, I bet you're kind of blown away every day with how far you've actually reached.
Yeah, absolutely. And you actually, your little introduction and your summary of the charity was absolutely perfect. It was, yeah, you've actually probably done a lot of the job for me. But yes, as you mentioned, in 2005, my daughter was, she was diagnosed in 2004, and unfortunately we lost her in 2005. But the hair loss was such a significant part of her illness and her, and that whole experience for her. And we were just really surprised at how little help there was. There was so many charities and so much help available for what seemed like everything else. But that was the one thing that we thought would have a huge impact on her. Yet all that was available at that time was a voucher, which would have covered, I think, about £70 towards a wig, and there was very little available for children at that time. And straight away we recognised that there was a real need there for someone to source, because it was really difficult to source a good quality, realistic real hair wig for a child, so certainly suitable for a small child as well. And when we did eventually find one, the cost was, I think we paid around £350, but actually to get a really, really good wig, you can pay anything up to sort of £1,500, £2,000 for a really good, realistic wig for a child. So we immediately saw that as a real need that just wasn't met. So when Hannah passed away in 2005, her school and friends and family raised some money, and they asked us where we would like, if there was a charity we wanted to donate it to. And at that time we said, actually it was enough money to buy a real hair wig for a child. So they happily agreed to let us do that with it, which we did through Birmingham Children's Hospital, where she'd been treated. And by the time we'd completed that process of providing one wig for a child, people had heard that's what we had done with the money, and they'd raised a little bit more, and there was enough for another 2 wigs, and it just literally snowballed. So by the end of the first year, we ended up funding 36 wigs. But as you referred to, we also started receiving donations of hair through the post, which we couldn't do anything with, but we realised what a precious gift that was, and that we had to. In fact, we felt really duty bound to make sure we could do something with that, and with your help, we now take hair donations of tens of thousands a year, and we make the most beautiful wigs, which you helped us to specify and to design, and to find a good factory to produce. So we've got now our own range of wigs in various colours and sizes, all specifically made for children and young people. And now we're again, as you mentioned, nearly 2,000 wigs per year we're providing for children. So so that's kind of where we started from. And just in the last year, we provided our 10,000th wig. So
amazing. Yeah, that is just quite phenomenal, isn't it? 10,000 wigs that you've provided to those young people who actually really need that help. Because it's not every family out there who, when they're going through such traumatic times, can actually afford a wig, or even are thinking straight about trying to get a wig or where to actually source them. So to make that simple little phone call to yourselves and to all the wonderful staff you've got in the office is just amazing, really.
Yeah,
and from one phone call, they get that wig.
That's it. Yeah, that was the whole premise, was that we had to make sure the process was simple and straightforward. No forms to fill out, no red tape. It was just an instant phone call, and we would then sort it. We would do the rest, put them in touch with a wig fitter as locally as possible, so they're not having to travel around, because a lot of these families are having to travel for treatment. And we ourselves were having to travel an hour and a half to the nearest treatment centre for Hannah. So we knew, having been in that situation, how onerous it was, and the last thing they need is a form to fill out, or a long process to actually access it. So it's to make it really easily accessible, and just to make it a really simple process, and like I say, just to take that one worry away. Just to sort of step in and help with that one small thing. And I think the fact that we have helped so many, and there's been such amazing support, but also the demand, it really shows, I think, that there was a real need there that needed fulfilling. So I think it was just the right idea at the right time. So I think that's kind of how.
Absolutely, because there's so many children who do get diagnosed with cancer. And I think a lot of us, you know, we think about breast cancer and all the grown-ups going through different cancer treatments. And children, a lot of people tend to actually forget about those young children who do actually still get cancer. And they're the ones who actually need all that support as much as anybody else. But also their families need all that support as well, isn't it? And the wigs that you do supply, because you supply them, there's 4 different sizes, I believe, isn't there? So you can do anything from somebody quite young to somebody getting a little bit older as well.
Yeah, we've actually expanded. We've now got 8 sizes, 8 different sizes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and from as very small as 46 centimetre head circumference for the very smallest child, but right up to a 58 is the largest for sort of a grown person, or even a young man with a larger head size. So and every size in between. So and various lengths and colours, as we'll probably go into later. So it's really trying to make sure that the right thing.
It's interesting, you know, how you've discussed how you kind of got to the idea and saw the need for this, because it's definitely something that our customers, regardless of whether they've lost their hair to cancer or any form of hair loss that we actually experience, it's such a visible element of that process of going through treatment, yet it is the one that kind of gets overlooked the most, or has done previously. It's crazy to me that that's the one that people don't really put the emphasis on, because I think it's just such a big uplifting thing when you're then given a wig back again, and that must be really rewarding for you guys.
It is, yeah, and like you said, it's the fact that it's never not necessarily the first priority. You know, obviously, when a child is, or anybody's diagnosed with cancer, the immediate priority is finding a cure and treating it. But actually, the wig and the hair loss does get overlooked, but has such an impact on the actual person. You know, that's so it's actually looking after the person on the end of that diagnosis. Really, it's sort of, that it has such a significance to them. We get some, you know, we get feedback, don't we, every day from families and people that we've helped, and just saying what a huge difference. And, you know, and it makes, sometimes it enables them to live as full a life as possible whilst they're going through their treatment. They might return to school, they might want to socialise with their friends, be more inclined to take part in activities that they did previously, because they feel they've got that confidence and they don't feel like they haven't got this very visual sign that they're unwell. So we
get letters saying that it gives them back their identity and their confidence. But equally,
it does.
So many people tell us it gives them the fight, and it gives them, you know, that strength to fight their condition. So it's so rewarding to get all those letters. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think to actually make people feel that confident, give them that positive feeling back, and all those positive thoughts they've got, it actually just helps to actually get them through those months of horrible treatments they're actually going through, and to actually come through the other side. So I think, you know, psychologically it is really important for them to actually look and feel as normal as possible, isn't it? And not to be labelled. And I think that's the worst thing. If you see somebody and then people look ill, they've lost their hair, and then people just stare at them in the street and they get labelled. By being able to wear a beautiful human hair wig, it's just a lovely reward for them. It makes it worthwhile what you're doing, and for us and for all those hairdressers out there who provide the service for the Little Princess Trust as well. We hear lovely feedback and lovely stories from people when we have children come in, and those children are just so excited just to get hair so they can put plaits in it, baubles in it, bows and ribbons, and that's a reward to us as a stylist fitting that wig, because those little people are so happy. It's a really important thing, I think. Most definitely.
Thank you. It's a little element of normality, bringing some normality back to their lives, which have been turned upside down, really, isn't it? So
yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's probably definitely one of the most common worries of people as soon as they go through treatment. The first question they ask is, am I going to lose my hair? So it's such a big, identity thing, as you said. So Phil, how did you get involved with the Little Princess Trust? How did that come to be?
I think having heard the story again, sat here listening to Jane and Wendy reiterating how the charity started. I'm from Hereford. The charity was started in Hereford. Wendy and the family were all from here. And I was very aware of the story. I was very aware of the tragic loss of Hannah. And I knew Wendy back in 2005, 2006. And interestingly, actually, my previous business, I wasn't in the charity sector at all, but I owned an office products company, and we also had a print company. And we offered the first printing free of charge that the charity did. So we did the first brochures that were ever produced back in 2006. I didn't formally get involved until 2015, I suppose. 2014, 2015.
You've done some fundraising before then, haven't you?
Did a bit of fundraising,
An active fundraiser and always been supportive, haven't you?
Yeah, but I was offered a role as a trustee. And at the time, I still had my own business. That was a pro bono position, a volunteering position. So I was a trustee for many years. And as the charity grew, I think there was a realization that we needed a chief exec, somebody with some business skills, operational skills. So I was asked whether or not I'd apply for the job as chief exec. So I was very, very fortunate enough in October 2018 to be appointed as chief exec of the Little Princess Trust. So I sort of followed the charity right from the start, been involved on a voluntary basis, and now I find myself with the best job in the world. I really believe I have got the best job in the world. It's just to see the smiles, just to get the letters. It's so unbelievably rewarding. We work so hard, but of course this little lady here to my side, just by listening to her, and I'm sure your listeners and viewers can hear the same and see the same as I do, she's very much an inspiration to everybody she meets. So every day is a very exciting day here. We work so hard, but it is just the best thing I've ever done, and so rewarding. So
I smile when he says that, because when Phil in his first couple of weeks, I said I think he was a little bit worried that the job wouldn't get challenging enough compared to some of his previous jobs. I promise you, you'll say, this is the best job you've ever had, and he laughed at me. And then like 6 months later, he said, "You were right, it is."
But I wasn't going to admit it, was I? So
I think it's my ears when he says that, because I think I told you so.
Yeah, they're always right.
Always right. Yeah. I mean, it is a beautiful charity. I've been lucky enough to come up to your headquarters and visit you and see where you are, and it's just a lovely feeling when you come into the building with yourselves, all of your staff as well. Everybody's always made so welcome. So it is one of those really heartfelt charities that you really want to actually give something back to. So Wendy, how important is all the actual fundraising donations to you? Because I know people fundraise in lots of different ways that you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about. But how important is that? And what do you do with that money when you actually get all that fundraising come back in?
Okay, well that is a really, really important point you've made, because obviously people send the donations of hair, from which is the raw material, big part of the raw material that we make the wigs from, that we provide. But there's, as you know, there is a cost to producing the wigs. It's a hand-tied wig, which I can show you at some point. But so the time involved in creating this wig is immense. It's about, I think, up to 60 hours to hand knot each one of these wigs, and so the cost to produce the wig, and then obviously to fit the wig, because we'd have to pay we've got a great network of wig fitters all over the country who actually do the consultations and fittings for us, but we pay for that service. So the total cost of providing a wig from start to finish, all of the costs of sorting the hair, shipping the hair, having the wig made, fitting it, is, well, we do currently publish £550, but actually we're about to kind of adjust that slightly, because it's more like £650 is the total cost of providing that wig. So that's quite often when they're donating their hair, they will set that as a fundraising target to raise the money required for that hair to see to follow all the way through its journey into actually being turned into a wig and fitted. But also, in any money that is raised in excess of what's required to provide the wig and fit the wigs, in 2016 we actually extended the objects of the charity, because we have been so well supported, to actually fund research into finding kinder and most importantly more effective treatments for all childhood cancers. And to try and, because initially, those very early days when we set the charity up, we said, well, we'll do this for as long as there is a need. So when we thought, what better way to actually help to move closer to there not being a need for the charity than to actually fund some research that would help to lead to that. So in 2016 we started funding paediatric cancer research. And again, as you mentioned in your introduction, that we have now become one of the largest charity funders of paediatric cancer research in the UK. We had up until recently committed £7 million to childhood cancer research, but actually this year, because there's been such a lack of funding in that area through other charities because of lack of fundraising, we've actually increased our own commitment, and we've actually now committed nearly £13 million to children's cancer research. So it's very obviously, it says two very, very different functions of the charity, and there's and they're so different from one another, but equally as important, we think. So we kind of bring the two together by referring to Hair and Hope. The charity provides hair through the wigs, which is the immediate help whilst they're on the treatment, and then the Hope is the research that we're funding, which will hopefully give some hope for the future. So that's kind of how we bring together the two functions of the charity. So so any fundraising that comes with those hair donations, or any fundraising that comes full stop, goes to creating these wigs, fitting the wigs, and also to funding research, which will hopefully lead to a day where they are no longer needed. So yes, important question. Fundraising is vital.
Yeah, and that would be such an important goal to get to, isn't it? If you can get to that stage where actually those wigs are no longer needed, it would be quite amazing if we get to see that in any of our lifetimes.
It would be amazing. Yeah, but actually, we have. Speaking of fundraising, leads quite nicely onto something that Phil has in his hand here.
So the call to action, of course, following the fundraising, is we've got these absolutely fantastic fundraising packs. And if you go online, go onto our website, you can just request a fundraising pack, whether that's a business, whether it's personal. But please do. It's full of goodies. There's loads of information in there. It'll tell you the answer to any question you may possibly have with regards to a hair cutting event, or just a general fundraising event, but it's all in there. So please do request them online. We'd love to see those flying out in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So all you viewers tonight who are actually tuning in and listening to our conversation tonight with Wendy and Phil from the Little Princess Trust, do get on the internet, look at their website, and order your fundraising packs. There's lots of different things you can actually do, from running marathons doing abseiling, or just having a cake sale or something quite simple, or a garage sale that your kids can do in the garden. So start thinking and actually start raising some money for this wonderful, wonderful charity that supports so many people, which is just kind of amazing. So in the actual, because we've been coming through this pandemic now for the last year, that's kind of hit a lot of businesses. It's affected a lot of businesses completely. And you're a charity, but you're also a business, really. How did you actually survive the pandemic, and how has it changed things for you in how you actually work at LPT?
I think it's obviously a very relevant, topical question, Jane, and everybody had their challenges. Back on the 23rd of March last year, when we were put into our first national lockdown. And if I'm honest, at that time, I think like the rest of the world, I didn't know what we had to do. I just knew we had to do something.
Yeah.
And we sat tight for a while. That was very much my strategy then, was to just sit tight and to see what happens. And we saw a lot of charities going into appeals, big national appeals. And obviously they would. I mean, there was a desperate situation with income not coming in. And as you say, when you liken a charity to a business, if you haven't got income, you haven't got a business. And if you haven't got income in a charity, we're not able to carry out our charitable objectives. So that's a pretty severe situation to find ourselves in. What happened in April, which was the first full month we could measure, we had a 75% decrease in income. Now, that's a big figure, but it's not necessarily unusual, because in the commercial world and the rest of the charity world, everybody was suffering these phenomenal losses. So we decided to write a strategy, a recovery strategy, which was going to be based on spreading good news and keeping our tone as upbeat as we possibly could. Now, there's nothing upbeat, of course, with cancer, and we fully appreciate that, but we never used any images of negativity or harrowing images or went to appeal. We just kept on telling people what we did. We were still here. We were going to continue to carry out our charitable objectives. We weren't able to supply wigs with a physical fitting, of course. So we had to re-engineer ourselves pretty quickly, and we came up with a virtual fitting, which I know a lot of wig fitters and stylists are able to do. But for us as a charity, with the volumes that we were talking about, we were able to reinvent ourselves very quickly, re-engineer ourselves. So we were able to do virtual wig fittings. So throughout the entire period, our numbers have stayed the same with regards to the number of wig fittings that we've been able to do. So we haven't been affected from a charitable objective perspective with regards to carrying out our service. And that's always and always will be at the heart of everything that we do. We provide wigs to children and young people who have a need for them because of their cancer treatment or other conditions. So we were always going to make sure we were there to continually provide that service. So
I was going to say, one of the things I'm most proud of that we managed to do throughout, when everybody got sent home, we had that news on the 23rd, everybody got sent home. We didn't miss, there wasn't a day that we weren't able to provide a wig. We switched to that virtual service immediately, so there was never, it was just, we didn't miss a beat, which is, I think, because that was our priority. That just rose above all else. That was the priority before we went home, to make sure we could carry on providing the service.
Yeah. So, and again, we kept it simple as well, which is always our objective, was make sure it's very easy for people to contact us to request a wig. We kept it simple, we kept the service there, slightly different, wrapped up slightly differently, but we've still been there for everybody that needs us. And as we've come through this 12-month journey that we've all been on, we have seen a recovery in income, and we saw that initial slump. A lot of people were funding NHS causes and charities, and we understand why they did. They wanted to support something that was COVID related, of course, but we have seen people now gravitate back to their charities of choice, and we've kept our high profile on our social media platforms. We've kept our high profile through communication via newsletters. Wendy and I have done so many interviews in the last 12 months on national TV, local TV, regional TV, national radio, regional radio. We've been in just about every publication you can imagine, and we really have worked our socks off. I mean, we both agree we're tired now, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it, because we have come through to now. We're able to provide our service. We've learned so much, and our income, is starting to recover. And for that, we're eternally grateful to all of our supporters, because we just can't operate without them. So, if there's ever an opportunity to say thank you, when we say thank you, we always say we mean it. It's a heartfelt thank you to everybody that supports us and everybody that works with us, because we do know how important and how essential our service is. And without the people, whether they're collaborative partners, whether they're business partners, charitable partners, supporters, fundraisers, our staff, without all these people, we just would not be able to operate. But so we've had an interesting, challenging, bumpy journey, and we think we've done okay. We're reasonably happy. Tired, but we've done okay.
Good. And has it affected you guys at all in terms of actually getting the hair sent into you? Have you received less of that over the last year, or have you received more of it, but in different ways, i.e. people sending it directly to you rather than through salons? How has it kind of played out across the last year?
Yeah, well, the hair has been, impacted, of course, by COVID, but more so by lockdown. So whenever we've been in a national lockdown, of course, we're in the third now, we've always had to effectively close our doors to hair donations. So we run a skeleton staff. Our operational staff have been in, but everybody else has been working from home. So we're taking a very, very small quantity of hair donations during the lockdown periods. And then, of course, when we come out of lockdown, we open the doors again. And we're so excited and looking forward to opening our doors on the 12th of April, when hair will start to come back in. But equally, it's a bit of a bittersweet, this, because it's worked quite well for us, because we're a hair charity. We have a need for longer hair. At the moment, our big sweet spot, our big desire is really for anything over 12 inches, but 16 inches plus, we get very excited because we need to meet our demand. And yes, so the hair will start to come back in. But of course, during lockdown, everybody's had a bad hair day. Everybody's been talking about, getting their hair cut, their roots. So we've run lockdown hair campaigns and grow your hair, let it grow campaigns, and this has worked quite well for us. So we know that actually a lot of the hair that we're going to be getting now, as it was after the first two lockdowns, will be longer hair donations. So that has worked well for us.
That's very convenient.
It's very good. Yeah, just keep growing that hair, isn't it, really? Because you get donations, and you can take donations from 6 inches in length, but it really is that 14, 16 inch length hair that you really, really want at the moment, isn't it? To get those long hair wigs for people.
And just to sort of demonstrate that, this is our most popular length wig, which is a 12 to 14 inch wig, but this needs 16 inch plus hair to make, because as you know, Jane, in fact you helped me on the journey of learning this myself, because so there's like 3 or 4 inches of length is actually lost in the knotting process. So being that this is our most commonly requested length of wig, this is our medium length, which would be our second most common length, but this is where the demand is, and these are the hair donations that we get the fewest of. So, as Phil said, the fact that we can now get the donations that will be coming after the lockdown are going to be hopefully several inches longer really means such a lot. We would rather people wait that little bit longer before they cut their hair to donate it, if they're growing it for the purpose of donating it to us. The longer they can leave it, and we're happy to wait to get the longer length hair. So because that's where the demand is. So.
Well, guys,
okay, so anybody watching tonight, just if you are thinking of having your hair cut, hold off. Don't get it to cut to Christmas or next spring, and then Wendy and Phil can have much, much longer hair. By then, you could have actually raised a lot more awareness and bigger donations for the charity as well. So hold off getting your hair cut, and
but
we can get
go to
much longer wigs.
Salons and go and have your trim and keep it lovely and healthy. So still support the salons.
Just the words out of my mouth. So I want to ask you guys if there's any kind of stipulations you've got with regards to things like highlighted hair or like similar, that kind of thing. So if people have had some kind of treatment that's changed their hair color, straightening, all those kind of things, have you got specifications of what you are able to accept?
So we do, yes. We are able to take hair that's been coloured, but the overriding factor is it would be that whether it's in a condition that can be used in the wig is the condition, that it's in the best possible condition. Obviously, colouring hair does affect that condition, but if your hair is coloured, permanent colour, not a semi-permanent, because if it washes out and then it would change in the colour of the wig. So because it's not changed after it comes to us, the majority of the hair is left the same colour that it's donated. So it needs to be a permanent colour so that it won't wash out. And the overriding thing is that the condition is absolutely top quality condition hair. So and obviously length. Get that in again.
Yeah.
That key thing. Yeah, if you actually received if you received a hair donation.
Sorry.
Hold on, Jane. Hold on.
Yeah.
No, so just to clarify, as long as the condition is good, coloured hair is okay. It's fine.
I think you probably.
I've got that message. Yeah. No.
And it's all on the website as well. All of these answers are all on the website, so always refer to that.
Yeah, your website is brilliant. It's got everything on there people need to know. What would actually happen though if somebody sent in a hair donation to you and the hair was very dry, not a very good quality, too short? What do you do then with those donations? Because that's a really difficult one, because those people feel like they've actually done something to actually donate their hair, but if it's actually not usable at all by yourself.
Yeah, well, luckily we don't get hardly any of those. Most of the hair that we do receive, and as Wendy said earlier, it is tens of thousands of hair donations, and usually there's some element of a hair donation which we can work with. We try not to ever use the word waste at all as a charity. We're very, very aware of the environment and our climate considerations. So wherever possible, any waste that would normally be classed as waste, we repurpose. So we do work with some organisations that can repurpose hair that we couldn't use, or it's just come too short. As you well know, Jane, if it's a small donation of hair, as in the shorter length, 7 inches our minimum, a lot of that hair will be made up of 2-3 inch hair. So that's hair that we can't use in the wig making process. So that hair is repurposed.
But we do make it.
So it is
on the website. That all the guidelines we make sure it's so readily available so that people it's so easy to follow. So to eliminate that people sending hair that isn't usable. So as Phil says, it's very, very rare that we get hair that isn't usable.
Yeah,
and I would say all your guidelines are really, really good on your website. They are very easy to follow. Anybody can actually follow the actual guidelines. But it's really just to reiterate that the longer the hair length, the better, isn't it? Can I just ask, though, a question? If you've got somebody who's got really naturally curly hair, whether it's afro hair or maybe it's just still Caucasian hair, but it's got very strong natural curl to it, that hair, would you like it in its natural state, or would you prefer that person to have actually blow dried it and straightened it before they actually send it to you?
So who's going to answer this one?
Natural state is the answer. They can send it in its natural state, because obviously then the people that are making the wigs know what they're working with, rather than it changing its state after it's been washed or wet. So yeah, absolutely in its natural state. Also, it needs to be measured in its natural state. So it's still adhering to our length requirements. That wouldn't be the hair stretched out, it would be it in its curly state. And it does actually follow a different process now. Than the straighter hair, it goes through a special wig making process where it's made into a different type of wig, so that people have the option of having a naturally curly wig, or a wig made from naturally curly hair, rather than the other option, which is where they would have a wig made from hand knotted wig made from straighter hair, and then the curl is put in afterwards to any type of curl, whether it's from a wave or a corkscrew, or even an afro curl can be put in retrospectively. So we offer that choice now. So.
Well, guys, we've had some lovely messages coming in for you all tonight, just from our viewers. So I'll just read a few of those out for you. Message from Jackie: lovely to see you. Thank you for all the hard work that you do. Abigail says, one of my favourite charities that I've had the pleasure to work with and hope to again soon. Kev says, fundraising pack, consider it ordered. And Catherine says, it's a pleasure to work with your amazing charity. And there's a load more other messages that are coming through, but I don't want to sit here and read absolutely all of them, but you can read through those afterwards. Really lovely.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
You know, when you get these messages, when we get letters from people that we've helped and assisted, and when we get feedback like this, you've got no idea how motivating that is for the team here. It is testing for everybody at the moment. You know, we've got all our guys working from home, and it's challenging. They'd rather be together back in the office. But when we're able to spread the word and give them this feedback, it really is so motivating. It pushes us on to do more and more and more. So thank you so much to everybody that's taken the time to put a message on the screen there. That's fantastic. Thank you.
It is lovely. And we've got some hairdressers watching, and they'd like to know how they can actually become a recognised LPT salon.
Salon as in wig fitting salon, or cutting hair cutting?
As in wig. Hair cutting and wig fitting, Wendy. Yeah.
Okay, well, anybody can cut hair for us. So as long as they follow those guidelines to the letter, any salon can cut hair for us. With regards to becoming a wig fitter, as you know, Jane, our network of wig fitters, we work with around 60 salons all over the UK and Ireland who fit the wigs for us. And they all have to, they've all attended, they're all accredited, so they all have to meet certain criteria and service level agreement that we have with them to make sure that the absolute best service is provided to each and every patient that we refer to them. We also have a gold standard, which is like the A1. You know, the best class service that's offered. So we have associated salons, affiliated salons, and we have our gold standard salons. If somebody is a skilled wig fitter, and they are interested in becoming a salon, if there's an area that we haven't got covered, geographically, then we'd love to hear from you. If you got in touch with wigs@littleprincesses.org.uk. That will go through to Ellie, who looks after all of our salons. If you express an interest, and if there's a geographical area that we're needing a fitter, then I'm sure she would love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can't remember that Wigs app, then just go through to the general info app, and it'll always find itself. The email will find its way to the right recipient. What I'd also
to the right person.
When you had salons saying that they'd love to work with us as in cut hair for us, we would love to encourage that, and we'd like to recognise that as well. And We can send you some point of sale that you can put on your salon doors to say that you're cutting hair on behalf of Little Princess Trust. So again, please get in touch with us. And typically, there's an awful lot of salons out there, and they can do so much to help us. And we're all in the same space, and it's lovely to work with salons. So if they'd like to fundraise, raise our profile, cut hair for us, we'd love to hear from you. So please, again, just come in on the info box and we'll soon respond. And it'll actually be myself or Wendy that will respond directly to those emails. So do get in touch, please.
Brilliant.
That's so good. Yeah, everybody will be able to get in touch with you tomorrow. You'll get into work tomorrow and your inbox will be full up with lots of different requests, hopefully, of people wanting to actually cut hair in their salons for you.
That's it.
I know of a couple of salons who have actually asked me, and I always point them into your direction or into Wendy's direction to actually get any information. So I know of a couple of people who will be emailing you this weekend to get in touch with you, which is really good. And I think it's just a really important thing. A little thing we tend to actually, when we think of Little Princess Trust, we tend to think of little girls, don't we? Mm-hmm. We tend to think of girls, young ladies up to the age of 24. But you've also got your heroes, haven't you? Which is really aimed at those young boys, isn't it? And I think we tend to actually lose that a little bit along the way, because it's girls who really want that hair, they want that longer length hair, but you do actually supply for young boys as well and young men.
Yeah, we do, and this is so important to us, and it's so important to get the message out there as well. So we sort of dropped the Heroes campaign. That was a campaign for a while, but we are working now really closely with the cancer units, the children's cancer hospitals, and the staff there to get messages across to ensure that any child, any gender that has a need for a wig, that we will provide that service. So we do try and raise the profile. We've got some ambassadors that work with us that are constantly trying to get this message across for us. But yeah, we want to be there for all genders, and we certainly want to reach out to the young male recipients who might not be thinking, because of the name of the charity, that we're relevant to them. But we so are. And we're working on some new material at the moment, some new marketing material, new brochures, just to make sure that we can show a product which would be more relevant perhaps to somebody who is more active, wants a shorter hairstyle wig, not the typical long wig. So yes, absolutely, it's a good point, Jane, and thank you for raising that.
Yeah, our wigs come in the shorter lengths as well, but the 4 to 6 inch length is designed to be cut down to a short hairstyle. So yeah, absolutely, we're here for boys and girls and children of any gender. That we're here to help. It's not just for girls. So, but it is a common misconception. So we're really glad you brought that up.
It's a challenge with the Little Princess Trust. Our little princess was Hannah, and always will be. And every time we generate anything, we write letters, we market the charity, we always have Hannah in the heart of everything that we do. She is our little princess. But that's not to say that we don't provide wigs for little princes as well. So yeah, it's important we try and get that message across.
Yeah, it's not to be forgotten, isn't it, really? Every child or every young person is really important, no matter if they're girls or boys, isn't it? Just to actually supply them with that wig, if it's something they require and something they actually want as well. You showed us one of the wigs earlier, but we didn't touch on the colour really. You've got, is it 13 colours, or have you increased the range now of colours that you've actually got?
Yeah, 13 we do. So from the lightest blonde, we're going all the way down the colours to right down to black, ginger, red, and actually we're really pleased with because we get donations of ginger hair. I know that ginger and red are really difficult colours to replicate synthetically, aren't they, Jane? So because we're so fortunate to get naturally red and ginger hair donated, our wigs are the most natural looking ginger wigs. They're beautiful. So
and it is a beautiful colour as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it
Really,
is.
I was going to say a really natural copper, but it is natural. It's just, yeah, a stunning colour. And that is, when you're looking at the wig industry, quite a hard colour to actually replicate when we're making wigs. So for those little children out there, and we do have our lovely little natural redheads out there as well, that might actually want to actually have a wig. And most kids would think about having it in the same colour and not changing the colour of their hair. So you kind of cover every spectrum, don't you?
That's it. Yeah, I mean the vast majority want a wig that looks like their old hair, because that's that's typically what people want. So it's really important that we can provide something as close as possible to that. So yeah, so there's and that's why the hair that's donated as well has to be a natural hair color. But that's again in our FAQs, because we produce natural coloured hair wigs with it. So
that's it. Not your blues, not your pinks, none of those colours.
No,
just all your very natural colours. Yeah. And just moving forward, I know you've got some very exciting things happening because of the pandemic. It was very difficult for you to actually receive your wigs where they're actually made, and also with those longer hair lengths as well. But I know, and you can tell us so much more about it, but you've got a really exciting new venture coming up this year as well about wigs in the UK, I believe.
Yeah, and Jane, you're involved in this, so you know. This is so exciting. I think the pandemic did force our hand a little bit, but we were very mindful that a lot of our wigs, the majority of our wigs, were made overseas, and we felt that it would be, a good circular message if we could start manufacturing wigs in the UK. And we've worked really hard through the entire COVID period, through the last 12 months, and we're absolutely delighted to say that we are now producing wigs in the UK, and they're going out with a Union Jack on them, so they're very visible. Those will now be scaled up. We'll be running a training course in May for wig knotters. We put a social media message out about 3 or 4 months ago now to see if there were wig knotters in the UK who would like to make wigs for the Little Princess Trust to our standards, to our exacting standards. And we have now received 89 applicants, and that figure grows all the time. I know, it's phenomenal. And so we now know that we're really going to be able to scale up UK wig making. And I think it would have been 200 or 300 years ago that most of the worldwide wigs were all centered from the UK. The UK was the center of excellence for UK wig, for wig making worldwide. And that's gravitated away from these shores over the last few decades and years. But now we're going to bring that back. And it's just phenomenally exciting. It's great for us to be able to control that wig making in the UK, closer to home. We're also going to be moving into new premises very shortly, which you alluded to earlier on. And within those premises, we will be making wigs here in Hereford. We'll also have a salon here in Hereford, so we'll be fitting wigs at our new HQ. And we've also got a big conference facility, and we haven't spoken that much about the research side, but we will be bringing some senior oncologists and childhood cancer experts from across the UK and beyond to Hereford to share best practice, to present to us on some of the work that we funded. So it's just everything we do is just being taken up to another level at the moment. So it is very exciting. We're very, very enthused about the future.
It's very, very exciting for you. It's really good. And I also know you do actually work in some European countries now as well. You've taken the charity into some of the different European countries. I know that because, again, Aderans are actually involved in those as well. And I know we've got some viewers tonight that are actually watching from some of those countries as well who follow us. So I'm sure they'd love to say hello to you as well, from Sweden and from Germany as well. They're all actually watching you both this evening. So if you want to actually donate your hair and you do live overseas, again, it's going onto your website, But would you actually say to those people to look locally in their country, or just send their donation straight to yourself?
Well, we have a need for hair, so if you're donating long hair, then we'd love to have it. Yeah. But the good thing about this is, of course, is that we can provide those wigs back in those countries. So, as you rightly said, you know, it was exciting for us in 2019 to be able to work with Ulf and Sophie and Aderans in Sweden, and Thomas and Monica in Germany. And this has been tremendously exciting to be able to take our service overseas.
Yeah, I was going to say, we already, Sweden are taking in a huge amount of hair donations on our behalf, and they're issuing certificates as we would here. And we regularly receive, you know, we have been for some time regularly receiving deliveries of hair, and obviously we are able now to provide that the same service that we provide here to cancer patients over in Sweden and in Germany as well, thanks to the Aderans introduction. So yeah, it's growing.
No, you're more than it's growing. Yeah, we're going to have you worldwide, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're one country at a time. But it's, the overseas thing is quite a phenomenon, really, because we receive hair donations now from 112 different countries. We've never advertised overseas, but somehow the message travels about the Little Princess Trust. And one thing that I would reassure anybody who is donating their hair is we're high on values at Little Princess Trust, extremely ethical. There is lots and lots of legislation about what we can and can't do as a charity within the UK, with the fundraising regulator, with the Charities Commission. So there's an awful lot that goes on in the background to make sure that we're, you know, as trustees and as an organisation, that we're high on governance. But your hair donations get used to make wigs. You know, we don't sell hair. There's no other purpose for hair. We talked about waste earlier on, which is repurposed, and that's minimal. But, you know, the hair donations we receive, they all go into our wigs. So you can have an awful lot of confidence when you send us hair donations, as you can when you send us money, that the money that you send us will go towards the manufacturing and the provision of the wigs. And then beyond that, it goes into research. So, and I think one of the things that we're very proud of, and I suppose as a chief exec, I am more so, is the fact that I always say to people, if you're going to give £1 to charity, you really ought to know how much is on the overhead and how much is going to a charitable activity. And we've just filed our year-end audited accounts, and this year 11 pence goes on overhead, with 89 pence going on charitable activity. That's towards research and wigs. And that figure, I can assure you, is quite an enigma in the charity sector, and it's one that we're very, very proud of. So we keep our operating costs very, very low, and we just make sure that our impact is very, very high. So low on cost, high on impact.
And I think you're doing exactly that. Absolutely. It's a fantastic charity. I just want to thank you. I don't know if Bradley's got anything you'd like to actually mention, Bradley. I think we've covered so many different topics, so many questions this evening. It's been just amazing to have both of you on with us. It's been a great conversation, and for our viewers, I think they would have learned so much more about the charity, what you do, what they can actually do as well to actually help with donations, or hairdressers donating the hair from their clients, rather than that hair being just dropped on the floor and swept away into the bin. Think twice about what you're doing with it, isn't it? Amazing work you do, you in all the team, and from me, and I know from Bradley and everybody at Aderans, wish you a really happy rest of your evening. And I'm sure we'll see and speak to you both very, very soon. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks, Bradley, and thanks. Yeah.
Thanks to Aderans.
Yeah, thank you to Aderans, and hopefully the next time we see you will be in person. Let's hope.
It would be lovely, wouldn't it, to see you? Yeah, yeah. We keep doing a lot of this Zoom in like social media, doing all this talking on here, but yeah, person to person would be lovely. Yeah, and good luck with your future ventures. That would be absolutely amazing.
Excited
Thank
to
you.
see
We've just had another.
Good luck.
It's
Good luck
very,
to you
very
both.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
you
you.
so much.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Bye.
Okay, bye, bye. Well, that was beautiful, Bradley. Do you think?
It really
Such an
was. I think
inspiring.
it is. It's just one of those charities that I was so excited about having on with us tonight, because I just think the whole idea behind it is just so wholesome. It's so kind. It just comes from such a really beautiful place. And you can tell that when you speak to both Phil and Wendy as well.
Yeah.
They're just really, really great people.
They're both so passionate about it, and it is really heartfelt, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And it's such a simple thing to do, just to grow your hair and donate it. So how long are we going to grow yours for now, Bradley? Because it's getting quite long. And we were going to cut it and actually do.
I know.
We grow it a bit longer.
I know. How long do you think we can go for, Jane? How long do you think we can keep this up?
Well, I think I'm going to put you to the challenge now. Then, so you're live on air. You're going to have to stick to it, sweets. I think we'll actually keep it. I think we'll keep you going to Christmas. We'll give you a tiny little trim. Keep using the hair spa to actually activate all that hair and keep it nice and healthy. And we'll keep you going to Christmas. You can have a haircut at Christmas, darling.
Oh, I can't wait. Brilliant.
So
well, that hair will do it, that's for sure. That will pull it out. Pull the hair out of follicles. Make it grow. Brilliant. Well, it's been absolute pleasure
Sharon's
tonight.
saying you can do it.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure tonight, I think. This show's been wonderful. So I think there's nothing more really to say.
No, it was, I thought, really, really lovely. They do such a good job, really, and their wigs are absolutely beautiful as well. If any of you have had one, seen one, or fitted one on somebody, they are actually beautiful, beautiful, top quality wigs. Well, for me and Bradley, we're giving you a week off next week. We've actually got a week off next Wednesday. We're off because all the salons are going back on the 12th of April, which is really exciting for anybody who's a hairdresser out there or a salon owner. You're all back on the 12th. So we thought we'd give you a week off just to get back into your actual salons again, doing everything that you actually do for everybody. Think twice about before you cut somebody's long hair off and drop it on the floor. Think about, is it long enough to donate it? And that's what you're all going to be thinking about next week when you're back in. We're going to be back on the 21st of April now, though. So Wednesday week, same time at 7 o'clock. And we're going to be looking at how to select or how to choose the correct enhancer or top piece. So for those ladies, somebody who's actually just got a little bit of thinning hair, they need a little bit of extra hair to give them a little bit of oomph, maybe female pattern baldness. And we're going to be looking at colouring them as well. So that's going to be quite exciting, Bradley, how to actually colour one of our hair enhancers and what we actually recommend for when you're actually colouring them. So hopefully you're all going to be able to join Bradley and myself in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. Bradley survived the evening. He had a little bite earlier on his foot. We think a spider might have bit him. So now he's going to be playing Hunt the Spider to try and actually find where the spider is to get rid of it. And hopefully his area of redness hasn't actually increased, or otherwise I'll be taking him off to casualty. But I think honestly, he looks quite perky and fine.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. However, I'm not going to sleep tonight if that thing is wandering around. If it exists, it may be a figment of my imagination. But I'll sleep with one eye open. If not, so I'm going to get the Hoover out. I'm afraid it's sealed its fate. It's game over. It's game over, Jane.
I'd sleep on the sofa if I was you.
Well, then it might crawl in my bed or something. I just don't know. I'll never be back in the room again. But I just wanted to say to everybody, good luck for the coming week, obviously, with the reopening. It's going to be a big week. We're all geared up here and very excited. All of the Trenco salons will be back in full functioning business. Until then, if you do need any support from us, you can call us You can email us. All of the addresses and phone numbers for our salons are available on our website. We're still running video consultations between now and then. And if you're not comfortable with getting out to a salon once we reopen, you can still arrange to have a video consultation with one of our specialists. So we're very much here for you, regardless of what happens. And I very much look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time, as does Jane. Don't forget about us, though. We've only got 1 week off. So make sure you're back here.
Yeah, only the 1 week.
Only the 1 week, okay. Don't go
Brilliant.
anywhere too fast.
Excellent. Well, thank you for asking.
So I think we'll say good night now. And I will speak to you tomorrow.
You will do, darling. Take care. Stay safe tonight from the spiders. Yeah, and good luck, everybody, opening up next week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time on the 21st. Take care, everybody.